Justin Trudeau's immigration minister. Wow, okay. Justin Trudeau's minister, Mark Miller, announced Canada will be inviting 1,000 Gazans into our country. He advanced the yearly designated amount of UNRWA before pausing funds, of course, for the whole year. Canada voted in favor of a UN resolution for a ceasefire. Trudeau refuses to designate the IRGC a terrorist organization. Trudeau alleged support and protection of anti-India Khalistanis responsible for Canada's worst terror attack ever. Melanie Joly, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, is blocking military contracts to Israel. And just this week, they introduced an online hate bill that will work to convict people who hurt or offend people online. This is all just in the last 6 months. What would you say to Justin Trudeau if he was sitting right here?
Well, the first thing I'd say is that he should do something that he doesn't do enough, which is listen. I've been, as I just mentioned, I've been in Israel over recent months. I've been there many times over the years, covered most conflicts since and including the 2006 Hezbollah-Lebanon war. But one thing that really struck me recently was a piece by a friend of mine, the historian Neil Ferguson, just this week wrote in Bloomberg. He suddenly brought this to mind. It's a moment of clarity. The year before this, I was in Ukraine with Ukrainian forces when they were fighting to push back the Russian advance, and I was with them when they retook Kherson. And you know, nobody said that the Ukrainians should stop. Nobody has said that the Ukrainians shouldn't win. What is the problem with governments like this in this country? That they simultaneously say, and I deeply wish the Ukrainians success in their fight against Putin, but how can it be that people like Justin Trudeau base their moral sense on the bravery of standing alongside the Ukrainians? They say the Ukrainians must fight to the end, we must help them, we must arm them all the way. And sometimes they feel very manly for doing that. But you know, why is it that Israel always has to be made to fight to a draw? Why is it Israel that every time she's involved in a conflict is told, you've got a little bit of time, but we're not going to back you to victory? Oh no, you get the chance to have a little bit of victory and then we'll make sure you don't win. That's not being an ally, that's being a coward, and a duplicitous coward at that. I'm amazed by that double standard. And as I say, it was only Neil's piece this week that really brought it home. But there are so many things one might say to Justin Trudeau and others. I mean, one obvious one is, and by the way, his counterparts in other parts of the West have done similar things. The First Minister of Scotland has called for the people of Gaza to be moved to Scotland, which is... it would be a great shock to many of my relatives in Scotland, and I'm not sure how the Gazans would put up with the weather. But anyway, you know, I would say to people like Justin Trudeau about that, just wonder one thing, if you can wonder still. Wonder why the most severe wall blockade in the whole world is the wall between Gaza and Egypt. Ask why. One One of my bêtes noires is Queen Rania of Jordan, partly because I was once unfortunate enough to be at an event with her, where, I'll never forget it, the head of Google, Eric Schmidt, was interviewing her much like this, and he was saying things like, "Your royalness, your highness, your majestiness, your sereneness. Tell us, you know, we're in the era of Brexit and Trump, tell us what we need to learn, you know, in our democracies." And I was just sitting at the back going, she's only got one piece of advice: marry a king. That's it. That is the totality of her insight. But she has been all over the airwaves in recent months doing this sort of, she does furious interviews. Christian Anandpur and others, they also say, "Your Highness, your sereneness, educate us about this." Nobody says to her, "Tell us what your father-in-law did to the Palestinians. Tell us about that. Tell us about Black September. Let's have the whole thing out." Why is it that uniquely, it seems, among all refugee situations in the world, and there are many, that the people of Gaza are not expected to disperse across neighboring countries? It's because the neighboring countries know something that Justin Trudeau does not. I'm afraid to say there is nothing intrinsically wrong with the Palestinian people, but, you know, Hamas has had exactly 18 years of governing the Gaza. They were given a state. They have had 18 years. 18 years, as you know, is the education of a child. And psychopaths, as we all know, are almost certainly born. But sociopaths are made. And Hamas has tried to make a sociopathic society where the greatest thing a child can wish for is to kill Jews. Now, no country on earth would want to take a population that would need permanent de-radicalization. Nobody in the region. And if Justin Trudeau wants to do it, that's a matter for you voters.